Kirsch podcast. My name is Caro, and today I have a super exciting episode. It's WIP parade time! Yay! I asked you guys pretty much at the end of my last episode if you guys are interested in seeing one, and most of you said they'd love to see one, so I figured I'll do it. And yeah, I'm excited that I actually found the time. Today I technically had some plans, but they were canceled, so I guess lucky you guys, because honestly our summer is pretty full. Like all the weekends are booked, so I wasn't quite sure when I would get around to doing this, and obviously it makes most sense right around 1st of July. So we're a little bit late. I hope you're not tired. I hope you're not tired of watching WIP parades yet. I know lots of YouTubers or Flosstubers are releasing their mid-year WIP parade, but I guess I'm just hopping on the bandwagon. And yeah, I thought about how to do this, but I decided to also include my 2 finishes that I completed this year. So we'll be looking at everything that I stitched on this year, so all the WIPs that I do have. I think I stitched on everything in the year. Honestly, I'm not quite sure. We'll see. We'll see if I added anything in the year when we're looking at each project. There's gonna be 11 projects, including the 2 finishes. So yeah, just a heads up. And just a very general fact right on the get-go, off the get-go. Oh, sorry, English is not my first language. All the numbers I'll be talking about will be from 24th of January, because that's when I did my 2024 recap and 2025 beginning of the year WIP parade. So that I have the screenshots of my before. Basically, I'll grab that off that video. So just so you know, it's not the entire half year. We're basically missing a month, but that works out the best, I think, for my stats and the pictures and all that stuff, because I won't have progress pictures from January 1st, I guess. But yeah, so since then I stitched nearly 55,000. I think we're 36 less than 55,000 stitches. So that's not too bad. I think I'm well on my way to hitting 100,000 stitches in the year, but I guess we can look at that at the end of the year with parade. But now I guess you guys want to see my projects. So the way I'm organizing this, I'm going to show you my finishes first, and then we're just going to look at my oldest WIPs, working our way up to the very last one that I started, which is one you have not seen yet. So stay tuned for that. So yeah, without further ado, enjoy the WIP parade. I hope you're not tired of them yet, but here's mine. So enjoy. So my finishes. So the first project, or was it the first? I don't know. One of the projects that I finished this year is the Fool. So this is part of the Witchy Stitcher Nostalgic Tarot series. And yeah, I finished this one. Let me open my info sheet. So I started this project on May 29th in 2024. And I had still 1,133 stitches left when I showed it to you in my last WIP parade. And yeah, it's a chart by the Witchy Stitcher, and I can show you how she designed it. So she had a more pink version, and I did some color changes, mainly swapped some pinks for blues and left the rest. And yeah, so I brought it up to 100% this year. There's a total stitch count of 4,735 stitches in this one. And I stitched this on a 40 count Newcastle linen that I hand dyed myself with the German equivalent of RIT dyes. I'm just gonna call it RIT dyes from now on, because that's what you guys know. But just know it's not actually RIT dyes, but something very, very similar. Anyways, so that is the first finish that I had this year. I'm just gonna call it my first finish now. And that makes it then this one, the second finish of the year. So this one is Forest Fox by Pigeon Coop Designs. And this one was a freebie reward, if you want to call it that, if you did a pre-order of his pattern book. What's it called? Cross Stitch in the Forest by Max Pigeon. And yeah, he sent you this chart if you pre-ordered that book, which I did. And yeah, I stitched this one up. That was a start in January, on January 9th. And this one has a total of 1,384 stitches, which I completed this year. Did I complete? Oh, actually, see, yeah, I started that before the 24th, so whatever. I don't think that's that interesting, but yay. So a finish here, but as you can see, I haven't worked towards fully finishing either of them. I kind of wanted to turn this one in a Velcro bumper sticker for my daughter potentially, because these school backpacks have Velcro parts where you can put like these bumper thingies on it. So that was my plan for that, because the size would be perfect. And these ones I'm stitching, you'll see another card in my wood pile. These ones I am planning on finishing as cards, as playing cards. Not really to play with, but I don't know, just as a tactile thing, I guess. So yay, that's all the finishes I had. I guess that would be an interesting information. By the way, if you are new, welcome. So sorry. I totally forgot my starting lines here. So yeah, WIP parades usually draw new viewers. So if you are new, I would say mainly a full coverage stitcher, even though you're going to see a bunch of non-full coverage in this pile, but I'm drawn mainly to full coverage stitching. So if you like what you see here and you stick around for regular Flosstube episodes, you'll be mainly seeing full coverage. But every now and then I do enjoy picking out non-full coverage because they're nice and easy and small, and I stitch those in hand. And my full coverage I stitch in a hoop as a general rule, but can be broken every now and then. But yes, let's look at the rest of the projects. So the rest of them will be WIPs, and we'll be starting with my oldest project. And that is my amazing loon. So the amazing loon, and let me show you what the finished result will look like. There's gonna be a bit of, a bit of glare. This is pretty dark. So this one I charted myself, but I purchased the Heaven and Earth design chart, Amazing Grace, which is artwork by David Bartlett. And I'll pop in a picture of what that looked like. That one has a swan in, but I just prefer the loon as a bird. I really liked the background of it, which is why I was drawn to it. And so I decided to kind of Photoshop the image and put a loon in. And then I actually added this shadow figure there as well, which isn't part of the original artwork. And yeah, just recharted this myself. I changed the size in the end. I used the same colors, like I kind of forced my charting program to only use the colors that the Heaven and Earth chart used. So it's still related to the Heaven and Earth designs chart, but it's not charted by them anymore. But yeah. So this is the finished result, and this is where I'm at. So I actually took all my projects out of their hoop, if they were in one, and ironed them. This one I couldn't iron completely because I outlined the shape of the loon with this pink marker, which is heat removable. But I tried to iron the rest as good as possible. So yeah, here is where I am. I'll insert a picture, probably just like this, where it was in the beginning of the year. So I started the year at 11.3%. And since then I added 9,030 stitches. And this is a mix of tent and full crosses. I'll get into that. which puts me now at 29.1% at a total of 24,072 stitches. And yeah, I guess the specialty thing with this chart is that I'm stitching the background. I'm stitching this on 28 count Lugana, by the way. And the background I'm stitching 2/2 full cross. And the loon I'm stitching 2/1 tent stitch. So the loon has a higher resolution to get his intricate patterning, which you can start to see a little bit. I mainly stitched the black in the body of the loon so far. And by the way, some of these projects will have some progress since the last podcast episode, but we're just going to ignore that for now. We'll talk about that in the next podcast episode. But yeah, I'm really happy with it, how this is looking. I was in a bit of a bad spot with this project for like a month or two in the spring, but I think we are liking each other a little bit more again because I started to stitch on the black again. I'll probably start hating it again when I start stitching all the lighter color in the tent stitch area. That's because I find personally for me, I figured out with this project that the 28 count tent stitch 2/1 is just not for me. It's too tight for my liking, especially I guess in high confetti areas, which this definitely will be. So I think there's still some fights ahead. But yeah, so far I'm back to stitching just the black, and that's kind of nice because that is probably the most connected stitches that are in this project. But yeah, I think that is all I meant to say on this project. Yes. Here, I have my cheat sheet. Oh yeah, I wanted to tell you what kind of floss I'm using. This one is a mix. This is a mix between DMC and Anchor. When I started stitching, because I'm in Germany and what is readily available in the shops here is Anchor. So I have quite a few Anchor floss remains, but eventually started getting DMC. So this project, because this is my first big one anyways, is a mix of Anchor and DMC. Eventually you're going to see some CXC as well. So where do I put the projects? Maybe I'll just throw them on the ground. Okay, next one. So my second, oh, hang on. I started the loon on February 20th in 2024. I forgot to tell you about that. And the total stitch count is 82,683. So technically, I think it's, I guess, around the size of a mini from Heaven and Earth Designs. So it's not that crazy big. And it is the project with the most progress, I think, percentage-wise. Or maybe not. No. There's one project that has more now. Anyway, so the next project we're going to be looking at is my one and only Long Dog Sampler. So I started this one on March 10th in 2024. And let me show you what the finished design will look like. Sorry for the glare. Here, let's do it a little bit like this. So this is Ragnarok by Long Dog Samplers. I think this is a medium-sized one. Let me switch to here. Yeah, so this one has 64,224 stitches. The size of it is 309 by 361, so not quite rectangular. And yeah, I started the year at 1.7%. I'll probably pop in a picture of how it looked like in the beginning of year. And since then, I added 4,026 stitches. Hang on, let me hold this like this. And this is where we are now. So I am at 9.6%. And yeah, stitching this on 36 count coffee dyed linen, which is linen I bought at a German store called Stickstoff, and I hand dyed it with coffee and iron. This will be the total size of it. I actually took everything out of the hoop, as I said, and ironed it. And I'm really glad I did, because it really puts it in perspective, kind of where you're going and where you're at. For some of these projects, I was quite happy actually seeing that I did a little bit, you know, that it's not like so massive. It always feels like you're in like this little corner when you just start a project. But some of them I felt like there's actually a little bit done already. So that was nice. So yeah, and the floss I'm using here is actually silk, which I don't think is very good silk. I got that off AliExpress or something like that, or eBay. But I hand dyed that with indigo. So yes, very happy stitching this full cross with one strand of silk, but it's quite thick. I don't know how thick silk usually is. There's one strand there. That's how it looks. It stitches up nice. It's just fraying quite a bit on my floss drop where I have it. So we'll see how that one will hold up. But yeah, that is my long dog sampler. And yeah, I started this technically. I was aiming to start it on the 29th of February. Didn't quite make it. I started on March 10th, but I still am stitching it in the spirit of the leap year sale. But as I was talking about this in my last Flosstube episode, I highly doubt I'll make it unless I'll make it a focus piece, because I should be at over 25% right now if I was planning on making that on time, which I'm clearly not. But moving on, we're still in the year 2024, and the next thing I started was a dimensions piece, which I would have loved to get the kit for, but it wasn't available anymore because the kit is out of print. And let me fold this one up. It's going to be pretty big because I'm stitching this on 14 count Ada, and this is the Woodland Santa tree skirt. There, a nice close up. And this is where I am. This is potentially the only project I haven't added anything this year. Let me check. No, I have. So I added 898 stitches. So let me put in above probably where I was in the beginning of the year. The total stitches on this one is 24,192 stitches. The dimensions will be 363 by 176. And I started the year at 2.1% and I am at 5.8% now. So, yay. I stitched 1,393 stitches total. That's total. And added the 889. As I said before. So yes, this is by Dimensions, and they did release a kit for this, but the only thing I could still find online on eBay was like an incomplete kit somewhere in the States with horrendous shipping costs and just costs for the project itself. And I didn't even know if I would get all the floss, and there was no fabric. There was the pattern, but I found then a digital version of the pattern, so I just got that and kitted it up myself. And I did not show you how the thing will look in the end, so let me do this quickly now. So this is what it will look like in the end. And yeah, it's supposed to be kind of the bottom of a circular blanket type thing that you can put underneath your tree. Or I guess as a skirt, you technically put it around the feet of the tree, but we're using real trees over here, so we just have a pot. So I'll put the pot on top of the blanket and the tree will be in there. So yay, that's that. Did I tell you everything? Yeah, well, it's Navy Ada from Zweigart. 14 count, I did say that, I think. And the last project that we are still working on from 2024 is my winter piece, which is a piece from an Etsy store called Puck's Closet. And I really just love the colors. I love the image too. It's not something I am seeing on one of my walls, but maybe if I spend 10 years stitching this, I might put it up my wall if I do finish this one day. But right now I'm just stitching for the fun of it, for the colors, is blues and grays. I really like that. It's just the mood and then the contrast with the red. So this is what the finished design will look like. It's 400 by 400 stitches. Putting it at a total, something is iffy with my computer. Yeah, a total of 160,000 stitches, and I started the year at 2.2% and added 5,485 stitches, and this is where I'm at. Yes, I was just making sure that's actually all the stitches on screen, so I can just show you like this. And yeah, this is where I'm at. Currently, I'm at 5.6%. I'm stitching this on a 25 count Easy Guide Lugana from Zweigart. And yeah, this is one where I was like, actually, if you look at the total piece, it's not a tiny corner that I've done. It's actually quite the corner. So I was happy when I ironed this one that, yeah, this will be the finished size with pretty big margins on this one. I was generous here for once. Like usually I'm like, 2 or 3 centimeters, that's fine for a margin, but I think it's just nicer and easier for the finishing at the end if you have bigger margins. And yeah, but anyways, so did I miss telling you anything here? I don't think so. Yeah, it's 25 count and I'm stitching this 2/1 tent stitch. And I'm using a CXC for the most part. There's some DMC here as well, but this one is stitched with CXC. Actually, the Woodland Santa tree skirt is also a mix of DMC and CXC. That was the time when I started these projects where I was kind of mixing a lot. Not doing that anymore that much. But yes, and I think it's fine. Honestly, I think it's fine if you mix. But I started the last 2 projects that I started. I think it'll be kind of important what brand of floss you're choosing to stitch with. But yeah, I think that's all I have to tell you here. So the next project is my, now we're in the year 2025. This is making me a little bit weird. Just switching the project here. It's like flickering or something. But anyway, so the first project that I'm still working on, I started in 2025, is my Tomb Raider piece, which I guess a few of you really like that are watching my podcast already. It is unfortunately a chart you cannot get as is, because I did chart this myself. So I tend to put the final image in of this one because it's so dark and kind of small on this, and it's actually not accurate because it's like an earlier rendition of what I thought I might want to do. So I'll pop in a picture of this chart, how it'll look in the end. But yeah, I basically used the front cover images of the 3 latest Tomb Raider games and photoshopped them together and charted them. And this is another project that I'm stitching on 25 account Easy Guide Lugana. And let me show you a picture of where I was in the beginning of the year. Oh no, we are in 2025 now, so there won't be before shots. So this is a new start. So let me just show you where I am at now. Woohoo! Hang on, let me put these. I don't really park threads, but I'm stitching this one in a hoop, so I had to park where the hoop was in the way. So yeah, I'm just filling my current hoop area and eventually I'll move down. And this is another one where I thought in relation to the whole piece, what do you see here? I think you see, it's a very long piece, right? But just from the height, I filled out, quite a bit. So I was happy to see the project progress on this one too. But yes, there is quite a bit to go still in the width direction, but the height is filled out already halfway, so that made me happy seeing this one. So I stitched on this one 15,557 stitches this year, putting it at a total progress of 5.5%. And yeah, stitching 2/1 with CXC and DMC mix still, but mainly CXC, at least from what is stitched here, because I know all the oranges I got in CXC. So yeah, pretty happy with this one. Again, I charted myself. Unfortunately, you can't get that pattern anywhere to buy. Okay, and the next one is the companion piece for the fool that I just finished. It's also part of the Nostalgic Tarot series by the Witchy Stitcher, and the second card I decided to stitch on is the Hanged Man, which will eventually look like this. And again, I did the same color conversion from a pink rainbow to a blue rainbow. And I did swap generally the colors a little bit because I did sort of a stash conversion. So this is a mix of, there's some anchor in here. I'm using up my anchors with this. But if I had the DMC color at that time when I started the fool, I used the DMC, but most of them I didn't have. So I used some anchor. But I'll stick to the colors now. I'll stitch all the cards with the same color combination. So even if I run out of anchor, I'll just get new anchor. It's not like I don't like anchor, but obviously it's easier with everything being charted in DMC. But yes, I'm stitching this also on 40 count Newcastle linen, the same hand-dyed one. And how many stitches did I do on this one? 1,478 stitches. The total stitch count is 4,599. So this is at 32.1%. So this is technically my finished Friday piece now, which I might get back to now that it's not my Loon anymore. I started doing that in the beginning of the year and then stopped doing it when I had to stitch on the Loon because I was in the high confetti area stitching the tent on 28 count, which I just really didn't like. So I kind of stopped doing the whole finished Friday thing. But I might get back to that because it worked really well for me when I was stitching on the fool, actually. But yeah, let's move on. The next project that I started was actually a birthday start for my mother-in-law. She picked this one for me to stitch, and it is a Luca S kit called A Bird Summer. So it's this nice bouquet of flowers with birdies and butterflies. It's a little bit more pink than what I would go for, but again, it's something for my mother-in-law, and I really like this one too. But I haven't really been drawn to it. So there's not a whole lot of progress to show you guys, but again, it's a Luca S kit, so it's a non-full coverage. The total stitch count is 12,361 stitches, and I stitched 1,015 and a half. So I'm using CrossStitch Saga to do my stitching with as my pattern software. And CrossStitch Saga charts backstitch and beads and all those specialty stitches as well. So you have half stitches as well in the stitch count. But yeah, so this is at 8.2%. And yeah, my mother-in-law will actually visit us in the summer. So I'm really hoping that I'll either get some more progress in before she gets here or then feel the urge to pick it up when she is here. Because yeah, I do want to give it to her eventually. I highly doubt I'll get it done by the time she gets here, because it's not that far. Like she'll visit at the beginning of August, so there's not even a month left for that. Oh, the fabric is 14 count. Is this 14 count though? I think I was irritated with that before. Here, hang on, let me check, because I know this one is 14 count. Yeah, no, this must be 16 count. I think I have this wrong in my information. I think this is at least 16 count, if not 18 count. Hang on, I have an 18 count project here to compare. Okay, it's a 16 count. It's bigger than 18 and smaller than 14, so yay. So I need to change that info. but I know I kind of stumbled over that info before. I wasn't sure. But yeah. Okay, and the next project is my new favorite. It is my birthday start. And I started this as a SAL together with Anna from The Alchemist Stitcher. And yeah, we started this project together, and it is my one and only Gecko Rouge kit that I own, and the artist is Kate Brazier, and it is called Pumpkin Spice Cottage. And I've been obsessed. I am obsessed. I love this project. I can't stop stitching on this. So yeah, I started this one in the bottom right corner, stitching this on a 25 count, and this one I'm stitching 1/1 full cross. And unfortunately I have a loose thread here, but you're just gonna have to live with that. And this is where I am, and I am so happy with the progress. Here, let me show you the full piece. So this will be quite a bit bigger. It's not my biggest piece. We're going to be looking at my biggest piece in a minute. This one is 161,803 stitches. It's 339 wide and 477 stitches high. And since I started it, I added 10,215 stitches into this project, putting me at 6.3%. And yeah, what can I say? I love it. It's a Gecko Rouge kit. So it is with DMC floss. And again, I opted for the 25 count 1/1 full cross. And I just love the colors. And the charting is nice. In my opinion, it's a great mix of block stitch and confetti. There is quite a bit of confetti in here, but talked about this in my last Flosstube episode as well. The way I'm stitching this, I actually enjoy some confetti in there. So yeah, I love it. I'm obsessed with this one. I really am obsessed. There is a slight difference. There's gonna be slight differences to the original charting of the final piece, but I don't think they're going to be very noticeable. If you're curious, go back to my other episodes where I talk at length about all these things. I tend to drift off into nerdy talks about cross-stitch softwares and charting and all these things, because I like to do that a lot, as you probably can tell by some of my charts being charted by myself. But I try to also stitch on and find charts that you can purchase, because I am aware, doing a Flosstube like this, that people get inspired and they start liking these projects as well. And then it's a little frustrating is you can't get them, and I just hold them under your nose and be like, isn't this cool? Does this look cool? But you can't get it, which is gonna be the case with the next one, actually. So the next chart I started is my Witcher piece. So I haven't really been telling you when I started things. So this one I started on May 4th. Oh, May the 4th be with you. Well, it's not Star Wars. Not at all. But anyway, so this is my biggest chart. This is a 369,805 total stitches. 650 by 571 stitches. And I put into this project 2,871 stitches. And I started in the middle of this chart, which happened to be just very near to Henry Cavill's face, the Witcher, Geralt. So I figured I'll stitch his face and see how that one turns out, because this is one I charted myself. So I created the picture in Photoshop. Let me show you the total design size. As you can see, this fabric is smaller than the last one because this is a 32 count. So I'm stitching this on 32 count. And here I'm using CXC because I'm doing a 1/1 tent stitch. So this was my first attempt at 32 count 1/1 tent stitch. And again, I opted for CXT because it is fluffier and I'm hoping to get better coverage with it, with which so far I am very happy. But since I own a cone of 310 of DMC, I wanted to use that, so I'm adding an extra floss of or strand of just a normal sewing thread, which I don't really know what brand it is, but it is much thinner than the DMC thread. So, and I'm happy with the coverage there, but that basically is then a 2/1 on 32 count, which if I were to do that with a CXC, I think then in turn would be way too thick. So we'll see how this experiment goes, but this is where we're at. And yeah, not much else to say. If I get anything, I'm at 0.8%. I'm not sure if I said that already. But yes, the next project that I started is actually a non-full coverage now. And that was one of my WIP Go calls for June, I think. And it's actually one of the first patterns I ever bought. It's an Etsy chart called Adjust Your Sails by the designer Little Dove Designs. And here, hang on, let me show you what the finished project will look like. So it's a sampler type thing with a nice saying, life isn't about waiting for the wind to change, it's about learning to adjust your sails. And we have a lake house that I'm stitching this for to eventually put up on a wall there. So yay. I started this one on June 2nd. And this is where I'm at. Whoop. So I added 1,045 stitches on here, putting me at 12.3%. Stitching this on a 32 count mystery linen, which I got at a shop closing down here in my hometown back when I didn't know anything about cross stitch. So I didn't write down, kept any paper from what this was. So we just, and I measured the count, so it might be wrong. But yeah, that's that. Not much else to say here. Using actually, oh yeah, I wasn't sure about that. I actually did a bit of a stash conversion for this chart because like with the non-full coverage, I think you can just change the colors because it's not so important as with the full coverage, because there obviously you can't just switch out all the colors because it uses so many. But yeah, I'm using a lot of anchor because I'm trying to use up my anchor stash because I'm not using it for the full coverage. So yeah, that's what I did there actually. And yes. And the last project I have to show you guys is a new start. It's a new start for 2025, as all the other ones have been as well. But it's also a new start in relation to my last podcast episode. So I haven't seen that one on my channel. But if you did watch my last one and actually held out until the very end where I was talking during my Stitch With Me section, if you want to call it that, I was wing and awing over a chart that I'm thinking of starting if it would fit on a cut piece of my 32 count, which I still had lying around, and guess what? It fits. So, and since Heaven and Earth Designs had a sale going for the 4th of July, I was like, come on, let's just get the chart and start it. So that's what I did. So this is actually my first Heaven and Earth design chart. It is a full coverage and it is Kakomu by Margaret Morales. I don't have a printout of that one yet, so I'll just insert a picture of what the final image will look like. I love it so much. The total size of this one is 425 stitches by 570. Putting it at a total of 242,250 stitches. And I started this project 2 days ago on July 10th. And I put in 814 stitches. So yay. Can you even see this? I started in the top right corner, which is the corner I like to start in. And yeah, not a whole lot to see yet. The way I kind of like to stitch, and I'm trying on this project as well, is page by page. I lay out 40 by 60 stitches wide and high pages, and then just work my way from lowest to highest DMC color number. And yeah, fill it out that way. So yay! I'm stitching this one on a 32 count because, again, that was a piece I just had left lying around. So it's a little wider than necessary, as you can see with the margin here. But actually the one to the top isn't too generous. So I thought it was the perfect cut for this project, and it just had to happen. So I'm stitching this with CXC as well. And I'm actually working on a little bit of a how-to video with this project. Unfortunately, I missed filming the very first stitches, so that won't make it into the video. But I promised you guys a little bit of a how to get a PDF chart into cross-stitch saga video. So I'll do that with this. It's super simple, I promise you guys. So yeah, so I took you along with that, and also kitting up the project and everything. But then, I don't know, for some reason, I was just too excited to get started, and then I didn't catch me stitching on it actually. So I'll just add some more stitches at the very end just to round it off the video. But the main info is anyways in the before. It's more of a start a project with me type video. But yeah, so this is the last project I wanted to show you guys, because that's the last one I started, and that rounds out my WIP parade, and we're at 41 minutes, which is stellar. I'm glad this isn't like super long. This is even shorter than my usual podcast episodes. So yeah, I hope you guys liked it. I hope you guys like the projects I'm working on. I certainly am loving mine. There is one project that I've shown for my WIP parade in the beginning of the year, which is I called Full Moon Raven, which was one I charted myself, but I just UFO'd that one officially also in my last podcast episode, because I'm just not drawn to it. I was drawn to other charts that I wanted to start, and yeah, pretty happy with the amount of projects I'm working on right now. Again, another plan that's kind of falling to the wayside now is the WIP Go, where I basically had it laid out to bring my WIP count up to 25 WIPs by the end of the year 25. That was kind of the idea. But yeah, I put a lot of non-full coverage charts on that, like the adjust your sales chart, which I like, and I started. I mean, some of them I like, most of them I still like, and I want to start eventually. I just don't want to have like 20 non-full coverages going at the same time. I'm really more interested in the full coverages, but I think I would be swamped and overwhelmed with 25 full coverage pieces on the go. So I think I'm just not aiming for that number anymore. I'm sure slowly over time it'll just happen naturally anyways, and maybe by that time I actually have some progress in the projects I'm working on currently, and not everything is like around 5% when I have them all started at the same time. You know, it would be nice to have some pretty close to being done, so you can actually also rotate through all your WIPs if they are so big. So yeah, that's kind of what I'm thinking and doing. So I think I'm quite happy with the amount of projects I have going. Because yeah, again, I enjoy stitching on the full coverage, but it is nice to get finishes every now and then with the non-full coverages, and they are just nice to grab. Kind of, I like stitching on the breakfast table on the weekends, because we just sit there and drink coffee and talk, and I don't know. So it's nice to also just stitch, but there I pick up my non-full coverages, which I just stitch in hand, and it's easier. And all my full coverages I have like in their hoop, and I have them clamped in my stitchy thingy. It's not a proper stand, so it doesn't really have a name, so I'm struggling with that. I did show it at some point. I think in my vlog style. I did one vlog style video where I showed my kind of stitching corner setup. But anyway, so that's where I stitch my full coverage is mainly at night. So all the other ones get progress in the car and places like that. Okay, but yeah, that's just the rambling at the end. I mean, we're done with the most important bit. So again, if you like what you saw, why don't you follow me and hit the subscribe button? And yeah, let me know down in the comments. I tend to do an emoji at the very end. And no, we had one of those. Here, look. Throw me a fox. Is there a fox in the emoji ones? Have you seen it till the end? Throw me a fox so I know and can remember your name. It shows me a little bit who my real viewers are, you know? I mean, I know these WIP parades draw a lot of viewers, and I mean, I do that too. I mean, there's tons of people that I've only seen WIP parades of because it's just interesting to snoop other people's projects and see what they're stitching on, but it's just too much. If you would watch every Flosstubers, you would never be done. I mean, sometimes I'm already like, if I have a busy week or something, and then by the weekend I want to sit down and just watch something, it's like, I don't know, 10 new videos, and I don't know which one to watch first. So I'd like to keep my subscription feed manageable, so don't feel bad if you don't want to subscribe. I would obviously be happy and like to see you there, and yeah, just see you for the next regular Flosstube episode, I guess. I'm hoping to put that one out in the beginning of August, although we're on vacation, maybe not. All I managed to film at the boat's house, then we'll have a few different backgrounds. By the way, how do you like my background? I try to pretty it up a little bit. My husband is building a new shoe rack for us, so that's sitting there because we've been oiling it, or he's been oiling it, and kind of putting it together here because the shop is a little bit too tight for that. But anyway, so I put a plant there to make it look a little less jarring and shop-like. But yeah, I think it's coming along nicely. It's gonna be room for lots of shoes. Okay, anyways, nobody needed to know that. I don't know why I got into that right now. But yeah, so thanks for watching. See you guys in my regular Flosstube episode. Bye bye.